The PGDL, is it super hard? Is it really easy? I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the PGDL. Hey, I'm Elia. I'm a natural sciences graduate from the University of Cambridge, and I recently finished my PGDL exams with the University of Law. The PGDL is a law conversion course for non-law graduates. Most PGDL students will go on to then complete the SQE or the BPC to go into their law career, but a lot of students might also kind of go into paralegaling or other legal careers in the legal industry. The course lasts about 9 to 10 months and it covers the core modules of a law degree, for example, tort law and land law, but it also covers modules such as business law, which I don't think is a core module, but it is kind of one that a lot of students will do, and it's really useful for going on to the SQE, for example, because that's one of the things you get assessed on. So what was my timetable like? So each week I had around 4 to 5 workshops, which lasted 2 hours each. 4 of those modules would be a set of things that I'd be assessed on later. And one of those modules, if I had that module that week, would be something called skills and behavior, which was a module that basically told you about kind of like ethics in the legal profession, diversity in the legal profession, and other skills and things you need to keep in mind when going into a legal career. The modules, like I said, were 2 hours. I went in about twice a week, 2 to 3 times a week as well. So I'd usually have 2 modules on one day or 2 workshops on one day. And then, so that would be about twice a week or 3 times a week if I had 5 workshops that week. In the first term, I did tort law, criminal law, contract law, and English legal system and constitutional law. And in the second term, I did land law, equity and trust law, administrative law and human rights, and law of organisations, which is basically business law. So what were the workshops like? In each workshop, there was a lot of group work and group discussion, and there was one tutor to about 25 students. So there'd be like small group teaching, or not small group teaching, but small groups of doing work in about groups of 5, and there'd be like a lot of back and forth discussion. They'd be writing things on whiteboards. Every session we'd also do a couple questions, single best answer questions, which come up in the exams that you do like at the end of each term, as well as also being the exams that SQE students will sit. And if you don't know what a single best answer question is, it's basically where you have more than one, it's multiple choice, but you have more than one right answer, but you have to choose the best answer. So it's kind of weird, but once you get used to it, it's kind of okay. So what were the exams like? For each module, you had 2 assessments. One assessment was the single best answer questions that I mentioned before, and then the other assessment, and that was about 45 minutes for 20 questions. So it feels like quite a while when you say it out loud, but it's actually harder than you think it is, especially because, like I said, like you have to choose the best answer out of a possible, maybe 2 or 3 possible right answers plus a couple wrong answers. The other type of exams were written exams and oral exams and coursework. So the written exams were about 3 hours and you'd have to answer 2 questions. And the coursework, I think, was 1 or 2 questions, maybe 2. And that you got maybe about 3 weeks to a month to answer. And then the oral exams were about 20 minutes. And before that, you got like a scenario plus kind of an essay prompt, and you'd have to kind of go through that beforehand, work out the sort of things you might want to say, and then they'd ask you questions about what they've given you in the actual oral exam. So how did I find the PGDL? So it was hard, but it was really interesting. Like you got not necessarily really deep into law because obviously it's quite a short course and it's quite a lot to get through, but what you did get through was really interesting, really engaging, and really made your brain think, which is a sort of thing I like. I quite like a challenge. If you're not liking a challenge, it's not necessarily going to be your favourite course, but I think I enjoyed a challenge, so I really enjoyed it. Additionally, there was a lot of reading and preparation for sessions, and it was definitely got me out of my comfort zone. For example, I wasn't a big fan of group discussions beforehand and group work, but by the end of the course, I found myself really enjoying discussions, and discussions were actually the thing that helped me remember the most what I needed for my exams. So What are my tips for completing the PGDL? I would say make good notes because you'll need them for your final exams. Plus, if you're doing the SQE or another course afterwards, you'll probably need them for that. Attend every session. It's really useful to go and to hear what the tutor has to say, because often those will be things like that you might not have thought about in so much detail and will really help you in the exam. I would also say speak in every discussion. The discussions are, again, really useful. They help you remember things, or at least they help me remember things. Some of the things I learned in discussions were the things that I really remember during my exams, or said in discussions were the things I really remember during my exams. So I think it's really important to contribute in discussions. I'd also say to do the mock exams. Mock exams aren't technically optional, but you don't really get penalised if you don't do them, apart from not getting any work marked. So I would say do them because it's really good preparation for your final exams. And finally, I would say look after your mental health because it is a tough course. Like, admittedly, it is quite hard and quite tough, but it is definitely manageable if you make sure to look after yourself. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about the PGDL, or everything I can remember to say about the PGDL. But if you have any other things you want to know, or you've just completed the PGDL and want to say how it went, make sure to leave a comment.